Hey everybody, welcome to our Tuesday night team call. My name is Kylie Davila and I'm a Senior Ruby brand ambassador. And tonight I am really excited about the topic that I'm going to be sharing with y'all. So I listened to I guess it's not really a podcast, it's the Ed Milet show off Spotify, but I was listening to one of his like segments. I don't know if you guys follow Ed Milet. He's amazing. He is brilliant. He is very successful, has like tons of years of experience to where he knows he has lots of knowledge. Um, and I also like his voice. Like, I don't know if y'all have listened to him. There's like something about his voice that I can listen to a lot of his stuff like for a long time and I don't get bored. Sometimes when I'm listening to people, I'm like, ugh, the voice is so anyways. But I was listening to his call and he says that a lot of times like people come to him and they're always like seeking him out for advice or like, hey, through all your experience, what are those top things that you would say are the most important to be successful? What are the things that are going to give you the edge that you need? And so he's like, well, this could go on for hundreds of hours. Like I could do tons of training with all my experience over the years. He's like, but I wanted to put something together that would talk about those things that are so important, but they're not covered enough. They're under discussed. So that's where this call came from. I didn't put it all together, but it's a lot of things that we can plug into our Plexus business. And I just thought they were brilliant. So I wanted to share that with you guys. So he starts out by sharing a few books that he read early on in his career that he said really made a big difference for him in his business. And the first one that he talked about was called The E Myth by Michael Gerber. I've never read it. I did add it to my Amazon cart. He said it's really old, but it's like really good. And it's something that stuck with him throughout all the years. Like he remembers what he read, and it's really shaped his business and how he thought about it. And so he says that Michael Gerber said in this book that if you're a good entrepreneur, that you will picture your business like it's an actual product that is sitting on a shelf, that you can like pull the product off the shelf and that you're able to look at the your business from every single angle and you're able to see every single element on its own to analyze it. And so he's like, if you're a good entrepreneur, that's what you'll envision. Your business goes on the shelf, you're able to take it off and look at everything. And then he also mentions something called the entrepreneurial seizure, which I have such a hard time saying that word sometimes, entrepreneurial seizure. Anyways, he says that this is defined by people, entrepreneurs that are starting a business and they're not aware of the difference between working in your business and working out of your on your business. So you have working in your business and working on your business. And he says that to kind of put it simply, and then I'll give you guys more examples in just a little bit, but like when you're working in your business, the way I pictured it, so I wouldn't get confused, like when I imagine my product on the shelf and I take it off, like what's inside, I figure like that's the you working in your business. That's the you, the grind, the grit, the sales. That's you working on your business and getting your hands dirty, getting the needle to move forward. That's you pulling in sales to even have a business. And then working on your business, that's more like the outside when you start to analyze and it's like the thinking and the strategy and the planning. And so he says, like, number one, to be aware that there's a difference. And then number two, after you're aware, to really think about what actions you're taking so that you can actually look at like the balance between the actions you're taking. Is there a good ratio between working in your business and working on your business? Because they're both important, but if you're doing one versus the other, it can be detrimental to your business. So he says the two mistakes that entrepreneurs make is that they only work in their business and they never start working on their business. So starting out in your Plexus business, you're only going to be working in it. You won't really have to think a whole lot and try to plan in the beginning. When you first start, you're enrolling, starting on ground zero, your points are zero, and all you're trying to do is get some people to join you, right? Like it's the grind, it's the grit, like I said, and you're just wanting to pull in some people. And so all you have to worry about is working in your business. But there is a point in your business where he says you want to learn that transition where you eventually have to say, okay, now that I'm getting some people in, now that I have some people under me, I have some customers, I have some people wanting to do the business, you have to start working on your business. But he said what's interesting is like he finds that the longer people are doing it and they make that transition to where now they're working in their business and on their business, is that people stop working in their business and they're only working on it. So they don't want to get their hands dirty anymore. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to reach out and get the joins and all of that. They'd rather just sit over here and plan and strategize and just work on their business, I guess. So he's like, those are the two or sorry, that was the first one is like people moving over working on their business. But then he said also, if you're somebody who just starts working in your business and you're just grinding all the time and working hard, but you never make that transition, your business is never going to scale and grow. So I kind of put these together. I don't know. I guess maybe some of them I kind of went back and forth. But when I think about working in our Plexus business, I would say this is like reach outs, conversations, inviting people to events and follow ups, making posts, stories, talking to your downline, connections with consumers and those working under you, having launch events like those welcome events for all of your downline, your new level ones, even for yourself. Vision casting, being active in chats in the page, welcome calls. So the hard work. This is the real work. It's the you part of your business. When I think about working on your business, this is going to be more making goals, growth strategy, analyzing numbers, which I hate analyzing numbers. And I know Megan's really good at it and Tova's really good at it, but I hate numbers. They give me anxiety sometimes. But creating systems, creating graphics, making team content for things like Team Call and the page, book club, podcast, personal growth, reflection, calendars, like maybe you want to make a monthly, a 6 week, a 6 month, those type of goals and a calendar where you want to fall. Marketing, scaling, taxes. This is where it's focused on scaling and growing your business. So it's more of the strategy and thinking. But he says that the longer, well, I think I wrote a typo here. I have my notes on this side. Okay, so if you stop working in your business, you're going to have a hard time working on your business, he says. He says, when you stop working in your business, you start to lose your business. When you stop working in your business, you take the best player off the field, which is you, the best salesperson, the best vision caster, the best connector, because your business is you. Like all the people you're pulling in, they're starting because of you. That's how this business is. So when you stop working in your business, you're losing the best person that you can. So also when you stop working in your business, you're not going to know how to grow it. You lose touch. You're much more effective at working on your business when you're working in your business because you can understand like what the market requires, how to solve problems, how to help your team, what does the customer really want? What does the consumer really want? If you have problems, your team has problems, your downline has problems, if you're not working in your business, you're not going to be able to understand. It's like you still have that touch. You won't be as savvy. So like when you stop working in your business, you're not going to be as savvy to be able to understand and analyze and fix problems, if that makes sense. So he says that the best entrepreneurs have learned this balance and the ratio required to work both in your business and on your business. He also mentions at the end of that part of working in and on and being aware and knowing the difference that as a company grows and gets bigger and the more success it has, it is normal to see that company or that entrepreneur to start working on their business more and more and working in their business less. But he says, even when I look at like big companies that are so successful, I still see the CEOs walking the floor with their employees. That way they still have that touch. They can still understand what their employees are going through or whatever. So they can understand and work more efficiently and effectively on their business. And whenever that he said that, I instantly thought about every single event we go to, like convention, who's there? We have our president, our CEO, we have Alec Clark there, we have Gene Tips, we have before Tarl Robinson, which still sometimes is there. And every single convention I've went to, they are up on the stage and they present every single day. And I think even for me, sometimes I forget because I've been to so many Plexus events that like when I go to one and somebody's there for the first time, they're amazed. They're like, wait, what? Alec Clark is here? Like he's just walking through here and he's talking to people like normal. And so when he said that, I was like, that makes total sense. Plexus is so successful. The culture that they have built is so special. And I think it really starts with our leadership and the fact that they care. They want to be there. They want to walk the floor. They want to be in tune with what's going on in the business. They want to listen to us. And that way it's better for working on the business. And it also made me think about Brittany Howard. Now, I didn't ask her this. This is just me speculating. But I would say she may be at a point in her business where she works more on her business than in her business. Because at the point that she's at now, she's scaled it so big and so much that she's much more effective at working on her business and training her leaders. She has brought up so many amazing leaders that they're at high levels. So it is in her best interest now that she has shifted over and working on her business more to train. And so she may only have, like we're right now, we're like, oh, 50 people want to join our team. Yes, I'm going to sign them all up and I'm going to do the business. And she may be like, well, I can only open up 3 spots and give my time to 3 people this month. And so it makes sense to kind of analyze where your business is at and to know that the ratios may change as your business grows and stuff like that. But, just ask yourself, am I working only on my business? Am I only working in my business? Is there a ratio that I can kind of work on? Like, am I balancing this out correctly? And we always say in Plexus, make sure you're paying yourself first. If you have a team that you're growing and it's momentum and it's crazy, I know a lot of times we like to get in management mode and just help our team, but just always like going back to, am I working in my business? Because I'm the best salesperson in my business. I want to have my hands on my business and just making sure that you're growing and putting your business first, pay yourself first, and then your team. Okay, so the second thing he talks about is the experience. He says that we have to be focused on the experience that you create for your customers and your downline, and to ask yourself, what is the experience that I'm creating for my people? How did they feel when they did business with you, when they signed up with you, after they ordered their products? Like how are they feeling? What was the experience like? He says that what gets people coming back, staying, considering to do the business with you, like maybe they said no, but then you just gave them such a great experience that all of a sudden the light bulb comes on and they're like, oh, maybe I'm going to take another look at this. This experience has been great. So really asking yourself, what experience are you giving people? 80% of customers say that the experience that they receive from a company, from that company, is just as important, or person or entrepreneur like us, is just as important as the products and services, which I thought was crazy. You could have something that's like maybe not, it doesn't even work that great, but if you give somebody a great experience, they're going to stay. They're going to want to come back. And I just was like, wow, that's crazy. And again, Ed Mylett was sharing that because he says, I think this is under discussed. The experience that you give people is so important. I serve on our serve team at church, and we do the hospitality where we welcome people. And during service, when everybody's in and there's no more people to welcome, one of the first times when I was training, the lady took me into the bathroom and she was like, during service, I usually come clean up the bathroom. I wipe down all the counters. I make sure that the toilet papers are filled. I even go as far to make sure that they're turned the correct way. I want the baby station cleaned, the trash is taken. And she's like, yes, we have somebody in the week that comes and cleans our bathroom. She's like, but do you know there was like some statistic or some study that came out, and it said that people join churches, the top 2 things that make people stay, number 1 is their childcare, And number two is how clean the bathroom is. So she says, I make sure I come in here and I clean this bathroom, even though I'm not the person like the cleaning lady. Yes, after we leave and close the doors today, somebody's going to come do a deep cleaning, but I want every single service to come in and have a good experience. I want them to walk in and say, wow, this bathroom is very cared for. Like I had a great experience because I had a clean bathroom. And I can say as a lady, bathrooms are very important. So I agreed with that. And I'm very, when I go to church now, I go in the bathroom and I make sure I clean it up because it makes sense. And then also, everybody, have y'all heard that thing? I think it's a quote, but it's like everybody has that invisible sign or something hanging from their neck that's saying, make me feel important. I think it's a quote or something, or maybe people just say it, but we have that opportunity here when we give somebody a really good experience and we're so intentional that we can make people feel important. And if you guys have ever looked up the 6 human needs, 4 of the 6 human needs, if we are so intentional and we really look and think about our actions and what we say to people, 4 of them we can meet with this business, both the products and the opportunity. I wrote down significance. That's one of the human needs. Feeling unique, important, special, or needed. Connection/love. That's one of the 6 human needs. Growth. We have such a growth atmosphere here. Even if people aren't doing the business, they're still learning about gut health, how to get healthier. So creating an experience where even if they're just a consumer, they're able to learn and grow and feel better about themselves and like, wow, I'm really making a difference in my health. And then also contribution. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a second, but contribution is a sense of service and focus on helping, giving to, and supporting others. So I just thought that was so interesting that out of the 6 human needs, 4 of them can be met. And if we're so intentional, that experience that they get, if we can hit as many of those that we can, like you have a loyal person, you have somebody who maybe is going to take a look at the business and run with you because you were intentional and you made their experience good. So, oh, and before I go on to the next thing, he says what he has also found is that the busier and busier entrepreneurs get, he has found that they get more disconnected from the experience. It's like almost like their business is growing, their team gets bigger, and then they just lose that, I don't know, uh, they kind of just step away from like giving people good experience. So he's like, beware that if you get busier and busier, never stop giving people great experiences. So the next thing he says that is under discussed is the ability to cast vision. And he said the book he read that really impacted him in the beginning of his business was called Selling the Dream by Guy Kawasaki. I think you say his name. But he says that the best leaders are great dream sellers, and that people need to be able to see their dreams coming true inside of your vision. So whatever dream or vision you're casting to people, they need to be able to see themselves fitting into that or see their dreams coming true inside of your vision. So they need to be able to fit inside of it. And he also says that your vision has to be repeated more often than you think. He's like, people get this like leadership fatigue where they think, wow, I'm just repeating myself over and over and over again, like everybody knows. And he's like, no, people don't know. They need the reminder. You need to be repeating this vision and this dream all the time because the more that you say it, the more often you say it, the more likely it is to happen. And sometimes you need that reminder. So he's like, don't get leadership fatigue. And he's like, business is not about saying new things to old people. It's about saying old things to new people. So get that vision, get that dream, and then just know that you're going to be repeating that. And that's what you should be doing. You want to repeat that as much as possible. He says 3 things here with selling the dream and with your vision is number 1, you need to back it up with your personal example. And that the way that you validate the dream is by by showing up and working hard, that you set the example. And when you aren't leading by example, then your vision and your dream is not going to be as valid. And what's cool here, like he talks about, even as successful as he is, he's like, Yeah, there's times where I haven't been a very good example. And guess what? My vision and my dream that I'm giving to people, it's not as valid. And there's going to be seasons in life where maybe that happens. And if I could go back and get refocused, or, maybe I was stretched thin or something, I wish I could go back. But that's just part of life. But being aware that, like, the dream and the vision you're selling, you set the example. So if I'm not doing a good job right now, I can't expect to be selling my dream and my vision to other people. So it's a really good gut check of, like, am I doing that? Am I showing up and working hard? Am I the, person that's working the hardest, showing up the most? Am I the first person there and leaving the last? That type of mentality is going to go a long ways. And he also says that when people see that, sometimes it's stronger than you repeating a vision and a dream to them. You just setting the example and showing them that it speaks louder than you telling them this vision and this dream. Um, so your actions are huge to back up and validate this dream that you're selling. So number two is, what are you against? He's like, you need to have an enemy. You need to have something that you're standing against or wanting to eradicate. And I typed this into Chat GPT, and I thought it was very good what it gave me back. I was like, what would you say based on what you know about me and my business? What would you say that I'm against in this business, this opportunity? And some of the things it says that you would want to eradicate: the belief that struggling with your health is just normal and something people have to accept, living paycheck to paycheck and feeling trapped by financial stress, the mindset that it's selfish or wrong to want more out of life, the idea that women have to choose between being present for their family and providing for them, staying stuck in a cycle of overwhelm, exhaustion, and just getting by instead of truly thriving. It says, at your core, you are fighting against limitations, whether they come from society, fear, or self-doubt. You believe God created us for abundance in every area, and you're here to help people step into that with confidence, courage, and faith. I just was like, wow. So if you guys don't have the Chat GPT, if you guys aren't using it, I would highly suggest. I thought that was really good. But he says you want to have something that you're standing against. And then number three, you want to have a cause. What is your cause? What is your mission? What is your crusade? He says that so many people have a huge need for contribution, and they want to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves. And the stats all say that the younger generation now, that they would be willing to get paid less just to be a part of something that's making a difference in the world. And he's like, I'm an older guy, I'm not a young guy. And I would say that that's probably most human beings. Like, that's just how we're wired. And so he says, like, imagine this. You have a business where now you're aware of working in it and working on it, and you have the right amount of time designated to both, that you're selling a big dream and you're repeating this dream, and other people can see their dreams fitting inside of yours, and that you have something you want to stand against, an enemy or something you want to fix. And now you have a cause and a crusade and a mission. He's like, wouldn't that be very powerful? Imagine your business with these things. So these are important things that you can think about and kind of analyze, like, what you want to share. And then the last two things he talks about is transferring skill. He says the next thing you have to be able to do is transfer skill. You want to be a teacher. The greatest leaders are not just motivators or inspirers, that they teach. And he's like, you know what? Sometimes the most successful people, they're not great at teaching. He's like, if you look at really great coaches, sometimes they were like the worst players. They were the ones that never saw playing time, but they understood what was needed. Like, they can have empathy, and they can see people that need to work on stuff. They have a better way of teaching because of that. Sometimes people that are just naturally born with talent, they have a harder time being able to teach people, if that makes sense. He was talking about that. So if you have a hard time teaching people, like, you could be the most successful person. He's like, find resources. You have to be able to transfer skill to your team. Find resources. Our team has amazing resources. We have tons of videos, which I think is such a blessing. But he's like, you want to be able to transfer this skill, and you want to be able to duplicate this to your team, because you can be so successful in doing all the things, but if you can't transfer that to your team, you're never going to scale the way you want to. You're never going to grow the way you want to. And are you equipping people? Because the greatest leaders equip people. And then lastly is recognition. That great leaders are exceptional at recognizing people. You want to find any reason, any and all reasons to recognize people, that we are a world stripped of recognition. And this is like our business is such a blessing because we get to speak life into people. And I always make sure if I give somebody a compliment, it's going to be genuine. I don't want to just be like, oh, let me just tell this person a bunch of stuff. No, I want it to be like, I truly think these things about you and I want to say these things to you. You speak life into people. And it kind of goes back to that human need that I was saying earlier that I was going to touch on again. Michaela on here is like the best. There has been so many times that she has sent me a voice message or she just like gives me the best compliment. And she is amazing at this. She privately, publicly, if you can recognize somebody, do it. Like your team needs it. People need that. He even went as far to say if you made him pick 5 of the best leaders that Ed Milet has ever worked with, he would pick them based on number one, their ability to sell the dream, number two, their unrelenting example, number three, their ability to express their cause and what they stand against, and number four, they were great at teaching him something. But number five, and he said above everything else, that they made him feel a certain way about himself and the work he was doing and that he mattered. And he's like, I would have picked it based on that. That was above all else. He's like, so, have things that people need to earn, but also have things that people don't need to earn at all. Things that you just recognize them for being them. So that's kind of where the his call ended and the things that he was saying. I think these are vital for success in business and for entrepreneurs, but I think that they are under discussed. And I thought they were really good. I got a ton of information and learned a lot from that. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to end the call here.